Welcome, Internet. Are you ready to get ready? Today, we are going to be changing the fuel filter in my 1988 Buick Electra. This is the filter from Wix. It is a 33481. So before we go underneath the car, let's talk about a little bit of basics on fuel filters. So as you can see, here is the brand new fuel filter. Looks like this. They are almost always flow dependent, which means they have a certain orientation which they need to be installed. So as you can see, there's an arrow pointing to the right. So that means the inlet is on this side and then the outlet is on that side, and that is the direction of flow. And you can see this one was built last year in the USA, which is pretty cool to see. Wix are usually pretty high quality filters, so that's what I like to run in my vehicles. All right, so we have our new filter right there. So let's go ahead and go underneath the car. But before we do that, we need to make sure that the fuel system is depressurized, because this vehicle, even though it is old, is a fuel injected vehicle. So we need to release the pressure out of the lines. It was just running a few minutes ago to move it into this position to make it easy to work on. So the fuel system is indeed pressurized. So let's go ahead and depressurize that. All right, so on my model vehicle, the Schrader valve, the fuel pressure relief valve, is right here at the top of the engine underneath this cover. All right, with that cover removed, we can go ahead and unscrew this fitting cap here. Set that aside, don't lose it. And then here is our Schrader valve into the fuel rail right here. So I have a special tool that can screw onto this and then release the pressure gradually, but you can also just depress that pin in the center. It will release the pressure, but then you'll have gasoline spraying out of this and all over your probably hot engine. So we're gonna do it the correct way. So I just connected my gauge and there's about 5-ish or so pounds of pressure in there. Not terribly much, but we can go ahead and release that anyway. All right, and the fuel filter is very easy to change. It is right underneath the driver's side of the late 80s, early 90s GM cars, and it is a screw-on filter, so it's right underneath, a little bit forward of where that jack stand is. We'll go underneath there in a moment. Here we are going underneath the car, and your fuel filter will be right here. This is it, the cylindrical piece right there, and then it has fuel line connections coming from over there, going up into it, and then back towards the front of the car. So that is where it is located, and as you can see it written on there, this was last changed at 132,000 miles, August 22nd, 2016, so it is just about due, because I like to change fuel filters at around 75,000 miles. Just good preventative maintenance. No, it's not strictly necessary to do it at that time, but it's good for the longevity of the vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and change it today. So to begin, we're going to be cracking these lines loose. Now a little bit of gasoline may drop out of the fitting, and that is just fine. We have towels at the ready. So let's begin by cracking these loose. Alright, this is a 19mm on the fuel filter itself, and then I have a 16mm on the fuel line fitting. Now be prepared, because there might be gasoline dripping out of this. Yep. And we have gas. Alright, so that section is done. Now we can go ahead and undo the other side. Now this side should be a little bit easier, because we should be able to hold on to the filter itself and spin it off. And yes, gasoline will drip everywhere. This will get a bit messy. Alright, and from here we should be able to just hold on to that other fitting and unscrew it the rest of the way from the other fitting on the supply line. And as you can see, that one has been cracked loose enough to where it is also dripping out gasoline. So yeah, just be prepared for a large amount of gasoline relatively to leak out. So with a lot of the fuel dripping out now, we're going to go ahead and remove this the rest of the way. And there we go. So once you remove that line, you should have a lot of fuel splurge out of there like that. But all right, there we go. Old filter is now out, and it is indeed full of gasoline as expected. All right, and to make installation easier for next time, we are going to be using a little bit of anti-seize on the threads here, just a little bit. so that next time it comes apart even easier than it already did. So just a drop on there and over here. Perfect. All right, and as always, when replacing parts, check that the old one and the new one match up pretty well. So we have our old one here and we have our new one, and they seem to be the same diameter and length and have the same connection points. So that all looks good. Now, of course, remember that we have a flow direction, so the arrow is pointing this way, so we want the filter to orient like this. So we're gonna go ahead and get her installed. Now this can be a bit of a tight fit, so just bear with it. All right, there we go. We got both connection points roughly in the spots we want them. So now we just have to put the flare nuts and screw them back into the filter, and we will be done. It's that simple. Find out what these new sizes are, if they have changed at all. And this one is no longer a 19 millimeter. All right, that is a 21. All right, we'll get this started by hand into the filter, and then we'll go ahead and tighten her down. Okay, that side seems to be in. Now we'll go to the other side. Start this one by hand as well. All right, and now we come to the point where we tighten it down, and that feels pretty good. So that should be fully seated and connected. That feels nice and tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and give her a fuel pressure test. You guys go ahead and watch, make sure nothing leaks. All right, the engine is running and I don't see any leaks whatsoever. So I'd say that's a job well done. I can feel the fuel flowing through it, and that's a very good sign. The engine's running, of course, so we have fuel flow, and it looks like we're good. All right, so a little thing I like to do is write the current date and mileage on it so we know when it was changed. So I'm gonna do this left-handed, and there we go. All right, that is the end of this video. We're gonna keep the old filter, and we might slice it open, take a look at it, look at 70,000 miles and what all of that amount of filtering looks like. But anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, it helps us out. And if you found this video helpful, we would love for you to consider subscribing and hit that like button. So this is Bread the Loaf signing off.